War of Rights is an American Civil War first-person shooter based on the Maryland campaign of 1862. The featured battles include the open fields of Antietam, the crowded streets of Harper's Ferry, and the woodlands of South Mountain. War of Rights currently has 4 different game modes: Drill Camp, Skirmish, Conquest, and Picket Patrol. And currently, you can play as both infantry and artillery. This tutorial is meant to give practical information to new players and veterans alike.
When you first open up the game, this is the menu you will see. The server browser shows you different servers, their game modes, the active map and skirmish area, and how many players that are in that server. There's a lock symbol to the left of the server name. That means entering the server requires a password. We'll show you how to get to these servers later on. To join a server, left-click on the server you want to join, then select the Join Server button on the bottom right of the screen. In the Options menu, you can change your nickname, hotkeys, game quality, and more. For example, N is the default button for voice chat. Tips for optimal settings are shown in the Tips section of this video. The Tutorials button transfers you to the War of Rights official website to show developer and community-made tutorials. In the Character Customization menu, you can edit the cosmetics of each role and each regiment. Only articles of clothing and accessories that were historically used by that regiment are allowed, as to maintain historical authenticity. You can also change the head design of your character, which is maintained across regiments. At the time of this recording, only a handful of regiments are supported for customization, but more are expected soon. The Replay menu shows you the saved replays from the ends of the rounds you've played. To automatically save the replays to this, you must enable replays in the game settings. The Credits button shows the developers and will one day show all original backers of this game. Click this button to exit the game.
Immediately upon joining a server, you'll be presented with the option to join the CSA or the USA, because that's the 2 factions we have in the game. If the map has artillery available for your team, then you will be able to choose to play as either artillery or infantry. Otherwise, you will only be able to join infantry. Then, you can choose a company or a battery and select the role. On artillery, you can play as a private, NCO, or officer. The officer has a pistol, binos, and the men have ramrods to clean a cannon and set a round. There is a limit to 1 officer and 4 NCOs per battery, and there is no limit on artillery privates. Now, in battle, infantry players can select between private, flag bearer, drummer, bugler, NCO, and officer. There's a limit to 1 flag bearer, drummer, bugler, and officer per company, as well as 4 NCOs. There is no limit to the amount of privates in a standard line infantry company. Some maps have dismounted cavalry or skirmishing companies. These companies have the same limits on the non-private classes. However, a cav company can only have 7 privates, and a sharps company can only have 10 privates. This is to limit the balance of their fast reloading sharps rifles and carbines, and the cavalry's pistols. For the mainline infantry companies, a private's life is to listen to the officer's command. If his company historically had access to multiple firearms, he will be able to choose between them using these arrows. He has no extra weapon beside his musket, and no command power over his fellow troops, but these privates make up the bulk of an army. So, you're important, and you are special. The flag bearer is the pride of a company. He acts as a mobile respawn point for its members.
They're not allowed inside of buildings. Once they've entered them, they will have 30 seconds to leave before dying.
If he's in formation, the respawn will take 10 seconds per person. If he's in skirmishing, then it's 20 seconds. And out of line, the flag just doesn't work. The formation system is extensively covered later in the video. The bugler and the drummer give a heartbeat to the unit. Historically, men have their signals and tunes down pat. In game, though, they often just annoy men and do nothing to help the team because they don't They don't do anything to like help you reload faster. They do quite literally nothing. Non-commissioned officers or NCOs are supposed to relay the orders from an officer to his men. Sergeant majors get a sword. In pub servers, these players will often take command after the death of an officer. Even when that isn't the case, they provide a useful marker over their heads. In the tactical menu, press T, and then you'll be able to see the NCO chevron. So officers ahead of a company armed with a pistol and a sword and binos. Their orders are to be followed no matter what. Besides the voice chat, they can use an officer wheel, pressing Q to give commands for their lines. Certain commands only show in chat, but others provide actual physical effects for these men to follow. The most useful command is combat orders, form line. Using this, you can click to begin and end a line for your men to take up. The tips section of the video covers useful advice for an officer's convenience.
So once you've selected your class, you can enter the deployment screen where you can either spawn on your company's flag or at main spawn. When spawning on flag, you're put in a queue with the speed of respawns dictated by the formation status of the flag bearer, as mentioned earlier. Alternatively, you can spawn on main deployment, which spawns everyone who is selected in a wave every 20 seconds.
To add to the historical feel of the game, there is no heads-up display on by default. The default hotkey for the HUD is T. On top of the screen, you will see how much time is left in the game. During a counterattack, a yellow timer will appear. To the left and right of the timer, the morale stage of each team is shown. Counterattacks and morale are covered in later sections of this video. The bottom right of the HUD shows up to 6 rows of text. If you are on the point of contention, a top row will appear that shows if you're capturing or defending the point. This does not appear if you're not on point. Next is your march speed. Either quick time or double quick toggle with C. If you're sprinting, which is left shift by default, the game will say sprint, and whether you have quick time or double quick toggle. Below this, it will display the status of your weapon. Hold right click to aim, and press V to enter melee mode. Below that, it will show your regiment, company, and role. If you pick up a flag of another regiment, it will change your information here. Below that shows what type of ammunition you're using and what type of gun you're using. Only the Lamont revolver and Springfield 42 smoothbore musket can change ammunition by pressing 5. It will also say if you have a bayonet on, press B to arm. Lastly, it will show you if you are either in formation, in skirmishing, or out of line. These are explained in the morale formation portion of this video. If you hold down the tab key, you can see a scoreboard. Here you can find which team is attacking or defending and their morale stage. Under that, the player list is shown, separated into companies, and the role of each player within their company. The down arrow next to a player's name is their demotion count. If 10% of the server population, so 20% of their team, chooses to downvote them, they'll be demoted. Demoted players cannot play as a specialist class and must play as an infantry private. Similarly, if 10% of the server population clicks the mute button, that player will be server muted and unable to communicate with others. The number of muting players is not shown, unlike the public but anonymous downvote count.
When you hit the escape key, you will see a screen like this. The resume button brings you back to the round. The spectate button brings you into the spectator camera, but you must be spawned in first. Watch out, because it does count as a death for your team. The server settings button brings up the admin console for server admins. The options button lets you go into the settings mid-round. The leave server button lets you leave the server and return to the main menu. The exit game button makes you quit the game.
To see all the keybinds in game, either hit F1 or go to the keybind section in settings. There are 3 ways to move in this game. Press C to toggle between a 1 yard per second quick time and a 3 yard per second double quick. Hold shift to enter a 5 yard per second sprint. You can only sprint for a while before your stamina runs out, but you can double quick or quick time indefinitely. You can kneel or stand up with the control key. You cannot move while kneeling. You press R to reload. And R to stop mid-reload and save your progress. Press right-click once to ready your weapon. Aim by holding right-click. Fire with left-click. Note that you cannot fire from the hip. Press B to fix or unfix your bayonet. Press V to enter melee mode. Here are the special ways to hold your weapon. Despite the belief of some, they do not give any benefits. Press X to go into right shoulder shift. Press P to go into present arms. Press F5 to salute. Press F6 to order arms. Press F7 to parade rest. Press F8 to in-place rest. Shoulder arms is the default position. To enter it, press the same button that it took to enter that position. So, to enter shoulder arms from, say, ready arms, press right click once. If you want to vault over a fence, hit the spacebar. Press N to use vicinity voice chat.
Company speak.
Press Enter to use text chat. To free look, hold left Alt. Press Z to change sides, but almost all fighting will happen at the default distance of 100 yards or closer, so don't change them. F is a generic use button. Use F to pick up flags, open doors, or use the flagpole in Conquest mode. Press 1 to select your main weapon, 2 for your secondary, and 3 for officers' binoculars. Standard privates only have one weapon. Officers have swords as a primary and pistols as a secondary. Sergeant Majors have a sword as a primary and a rifle as a secondary. Cavalrymen toggle between a carbine and a pistol as a primary and a sword as a secondary.
Reloading a smoothbore or rifled musket takes 20 seconds when standing up. When using a Sharps rifle, reloading takes 10 seconds both when crouching and standing, and 25 seconds when kneeling. Fixing a bayonet takes 5 seconds. All projectile hits are instant kills, with the only exception to this being, due to lag, a character will seem like they've been hit without dying, but no health will actually have been lost. In melee, using the butt of a rifle can be done by entering melee mode without a bayonet on. This takes 3 hits to kill somebody. With a bayonet on, or while using a sword, it only takes 2. While using an artillery ramrod, it takes 5. By default, your weapon is sighted into 100 yards. This means that you will hit above the point of aim at targets around 50 yards and below it at distances of 150 and greater. You can change the sight of the Enfield and Springfield rifles by pressing Z, but this is not recommended. At distances seen in game, you will practically never be firing at the target further than 150 yards. To see more into artillery, watch the War of Rights artillery tutorial linked in the description.
Deaths in War of Rights are not always equal, and depending on your position, compared to your teammates, you will receive certain buffs and nerfs. If a group is more than 5 people and standing, then it will be in formation. These players will cost their team 1 ticket or respawn unit per death. They will take less suppression from gunfire and regenerate stamina fast. If a group is between 3 and 5 people, or if a player is kneeling near an in formation group, they'll be in skirmishing mode. Their deaths will cost their team 3 tickets. They'll take mediocre suppression and have okay stamina regeneration. If a group is less than 3 people, then it is out of line. This means that their team will lose 5 tickets per death. Those players will take on more suppression and regenerate stamina slower. Like said earlier, flags respawn people once per 20 seconds while in skirmishing, and once per 10 seconds while in formation.
Tickets are how the morale system and respawns in the Skirmish and Conquest modes are handled. As mentioned a moment ago, your team loses tickets when you die. In Conquest mode, the teams start with even tickets, and will gradually lose tickets if they have less flags captured than the enemy in addition to deaths. In Skirmish mode, the teams begin with different ticket numbers, and with the attackers having sizably more tickets than the defenders, depending on maps. In both modes, at the start of a round, both teams have 100% of their tickets remaining, meaning they're in the battle-ready morale stage. When a team lowers to 75% of their tickets, they enter engaged. Heading to 50% left brings them to taking losses. When they only have a quarter left, they hit breaking. When a team has no tickets left, they hit their end stage. In Skirmish mode, the two teams have different end stages. The attacker's end stage is Final Push, which lowers the timer so that the attackers have just enough time to sprint from their spawn to the point twice. If they have less time than that requires, they don't gain any time. The defender's end stage, called Last Stand, makes it so anyone who dies from that death on will not get a respawn. Players who die from that point on enter a spectator camera that is limited to falling members of only their own team, as opposed to the free camera of normal spectator mode. In a counter-attack during Skirmish mode, the end stages are flipped. This can give the people that used to be the defenders an opportunity to push the attackers into Last Stand. This will be explained deeper in the Skirmish portion of this video. In Conquest, where neither side is necessarily the attacker, both sides only have the Last Stand end stage. This will be explained deeper in the Conquest portion of this video.
Skirmish is a game mode where you fight over a capture point. One team is defending the point while the other team is trying to take it. As mentioned before, the attackers spawn with more tickets than the defenders. The point is gradually captured by having more men on the point than the enemy. The player can see if he's on point because a new line will appear on the bottom right of his HUD, telling him that he's capturing or defending. If the timer hits 0 but the attacking team has more men on point, an overtime will begin. The defenders win in overtime by retaking control of the point for a considerable amount of time. The attacking team wins if they successfully cap and hold the point for the entirety of the counterattack phase. If they capture while the defenders are in breaking or last stand, they will win instantly and no counterattack will be offered to the defenders. The length of the counterattack timer is decided by the morale stage of the defenders at the moment the attackers capture the point. Remember that each morale stage represents a 25% loss in tickets. If the defenders are battle ready, the counterattack is 20 minutes, engaged 12, taking losses 7. When the counterattack starts, the roles are flipped. The attackers become the defenders and the defenders become the attackers. The original defending team has the stage of Final Push and the original attacking team has Last Stand. If the original defending team retakes the point within the counterattack timer or overtime, then their percentage of tickets remaining will go to the percentage remaining of the attackers at the time of recapture. If they have a higher percentage than the attackers, then they will gain nothing. The defending team wins if they hold the point until the timer runs out, which can be made faster if the attackers hit their final push in stage. Additionally, if the defending team recaptures the point while the original attacking team is in last stand, but not breaking, they will instantly win.
Conquest is a game mode where you fight over 3 flagpoles on a specific area within the Antietam, Harper's Ferry, South Mountain, or Drill Camp maps. All 3 points are uncapped at the beginning of the game, and your team can capture a point if one of your team's flag bearers raises the flag.
This person raising or lowering the flag must be in formation or the skirmishing formation stage. If this person is out of line, they can't interact with the flagpole.
Once captured, the flag bearer who rose the flag will still be able to keep his flag. Flags can be uncapped by any player on both teams, but only a flag bearer can raise the flag. The Conquest ticket system functions similarly to Skirmish, except whoever controls the majority of the points will start to cause the other team to lose tickets at an unknown rate over time. Each flagpole does not necessarily inflict ticket losses, because they cancel out. For example, if both control 1 or none, no ticket loss is dealt, but a team will inflict losses that increase with every extra flagpole more that they control over the other team. For example, if one team has 2 flags capped and the other point is uncapped, then the team with no points is losing 2 flags worth of tickets. If one team captures all 3 points, then a 3-minute counterattack begins regardless of what morale stage the counterattacking team is in. While their counterattack happens, the counterattacking team is losing 3 flags worth of tickets. In order for the counterattack to end, the counterattacking team must make a point neutral and capture it themselves. Once that happens, the game continues as normal. Unlike Skirmish, the counterattacking team has no ability to regain tickets. A team does not win conquest rounds by controlling more points, but by having a higher morale level than the enemy at the end of the round. If teams are in the same morale stage, a draw is declared. When either team hits their end stage, they enter last stand, which means that nobody on their team can respawn.
Picket Patrol is where each team spawns in at a random location and fights over a tiny portion of a drill camp. Each player has one life, so formation status matters less. However, you cannot be out of line without being labeled a deserter. You will have a minute-long pregame in order to choose a role and spawn into the game. Once that pregame is over, no one else can spawn in. Whichever team has less losses at the end of the round will win. Drill Camp. The drill camp is a place to hone your skills. The CSA and USA drill camps are on the same physical map, but a server can only use one or the other at a time. On each drill camp, there is an artillery shooting range, infantry melee area, and an infantry shooting area. After spawning in, hitting T for the tactical menu allows you to see banners over each location. At the shooting ranges, you can see the hit marker of your shot, which is impossible during real fighting. Community groups often use these to practice unit cohesion and marksmanship.
Due to the teamwork-based nature of the game, community clans came as a natural evolution. These clans use real historical units from the American Civil War as their structure, hence why these groups are referred to as regiments and companies. At warofrights.com, you can use the official company tool. Though only for roleplay, the developers have hinted at possibly incorporating it into the game at a later date. Using this company tool, you can create a custom profile, create enlistment papers, and join a regiment. War of Rights also has an official Discord. You can join at discord.gg/warofrights, which is also in the description below. The Discord is a great place to talk about the game, solve any bugs or issues, find a regiment, or chat with other War of Rights players.
It's highly recommended to play the game in windowed full screen. If you have trouble hearing others over the loud gunshots, turn your master volume down. Either way, it's highly recommended to have your voice chat output volume at maximum. If you have voice chat issues or any other issues, go to the official Discord in the description and ask for help. Officers can keybind the form line, allowing them to more easily order their men around. Enter options, key bindings, scroll down to order form line and set your preferred key. The letter H works very well for this. With the Springfield 1842 smoothbore musket, you can press 5 to select buck and ball ammunition. In real life, this was a large ball and 3 smaller balls, but in game, simply 4 small balls are rendered. This type of shot is extremely effective in War of Rights, due to the close range nature of video game engagements. Every hit is a one-hit kill, and when shooting at groups of men, this is deadly effective. Additionally, each small round suppresses the enemy, as much as a full mini-ball would. These factors combined mean that, at practically all ranges seen in War of Rights, you should use buck and ball if you have it. Regardless what formation stage you are in, it will take 15 minutes to fully recover your health. If you go away from your men as a flag bearer, you will have 60 seconds to return to your men. In the settings, if you hit benchmark, it will start looping cinematic sequences on your current quality settings and show you your average frames per second or FPS.
Ooh, I'm a good old Rambo, now that's just what I am. And for this teamwork game, no, I do not give a damn. Oh, I'm glad I fit against it, I'd only wish we won. And I ain't asking any pardon for any tickets gone. Oh, I hate the suppression mechanic, the shitty ticket system too. Oh, I hate the nasty officers who TK by the 2. Oh, I hate the plastic cav with his sharps and his coats, and the lion thief at admins. I hate some wuss and wuss. Oh, I hate the organization and everything they do. Oh, I I hates the line mechanic and the ticket system too. Oh, I hates the glorious officers, 'tis dripping with our blood. Oh, I hate the 6-shot pistols, so I fit all that I could. Oh, I'm a good old Rambo now, that's just what I am. Oh, for this teamwork game, no, I do not give a damn. Oh, I'm glad I fit against it, I'd only wish we won. And I ain't asking any pardon for any tickets gone.